Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. In the last lecture, we discussed about principles of typography, where we try to understand different factors and parameters through which typography can become an important asset in graphic design. As disclosed in our previous lecture, this session will explore the role and importance of typography in physical spaces, which is also known as environmental typography. This is going to be our last session under Introduction to Typography module, and I'm sure if you have paid attention throughout this module, you will be able to use typography in your project in a very efficient and effective way. Environmental typography refers to the use of type and lettering in physical spaces to interact with, enhance, or define the environment. It combines typography with spatial design, creating experiences that blend text, context, and physical surroundings. This practice often appears in many disciplines and many areas such as architecture, urban design, exhibitions, and public spaces. In public spaces, especially in the form of installation. Famous graphic designer Helmut Schmidt defined the characteristic features of typography as: typography needs to be audible, typography needs to be felt, and typography needs to be experienced. So let me start this session with one video created by students at IIT Hyderabad as a part of their classroom assignment. This video has used typography in a very unique way in terms of telling stories. Did you find this video helpful in terms of understanding the power of typography or expressive quality of typography? Most of the cutouts used in this video was taken from the surrounding environments, where we consume these letters and typefaces on a daily basis. Environmental typography is an incredible visual means of bringing a space to life. It breathes life into spaces by blending text with the environment, creating visually dynamic and engaging experiences. The reason is it invites interaction with the space. Typography design as a part of the environment can encourage physical interaction, such as sitting on a giant letters or walking through words in one installations. This kind of experience create a very powerful impact, and it also reflect on the memory. So it enhances the memorability of the context and then experience as well. It transforms ordinary areas into memorable destinations by adding characters, storytelling, and functionality. The Solo Office Tower at 9 West 57th Street in New York City is an iconic building with a striking ski slope like design. A massive raid number 9 sits prominently on the sidewalk, making the building's main entrance. Positioned on city property, this bold numeral has become an iconic New York City landmark. The whole installation enhances the atmosphere, evokes emotions, and fosters a connection between people and the surroundings, making the space both beautiful and visually captivating. That means letter or numbers alone have the power to make an environment alive and bring a space to life. However, it is a designer's creative ability that determines how powerful interaction is. On your screen, this is another example where just two letters are combined and repeated to create an interesting pattern and later translated into 3D product as a lampshade. This is an interesting example in terms of how a 2D letter can be visualized in the form of 3D letter and can be translated into a product. Another thing is environmental typography can take both digital and tactile forms, engaging one or more of the senses to create immersive experiences. Digital typography uses technologies like LED screens, projections, or augmented reality to overlay dynamic text into real world environments, offering visual interactivity and adaptability. The tactile typography, on the other hand, incorporates physical materials such as metal, wood, or stone, allowing people to touch and interact with the text as part of the space. By blending visuals, sounds, textures, and sometimes even movement, environmental typography creates a multi-sensory experience that enhances the connection between the audience and the environment, making spaces more interactive, memorable, and meaningful. If you look into its role, it enhances spaces by integrating text into their surroundings, creating a sense of place and identity. It connects people emotionally through culturally or contextually relevant designs while adding a striking wow factor. Whether tactile or digital, it transforms ordinary environments into memorable, engaging, and visually captivating experiences. This is an exciting project done by Doyle Partners. In this project, the designer used tape to create optical illusion messages around Riverdale Country School for a New York Times article titled, "What if the secret to success is failure?" The article emphasizes that the students should build character traits to handle failure rather than being judged solely by test scores. Here, the way typography has been visualized is incredible in bringing another perspective to the whole space. This is how it looks from a particular point on the floor. So now you can see the difference. So from different angle, it will have a different appearance. And this is how it becomes very dynamic and interactive in the real world. And every time it will give a different kind of experience. Similarly, this is another example from the same environment. you can see how interestingly uh, the whole space is used to make it very dynamic and engaging. Another example from the same space where the letter has been drawn on the floor and on the wall, and from a particular angle you can read the whole word, which is jest, but from another angle it can give you another perspective and contribute to the making the space more dynamic and engaging for the student. So it is not like environmental typography is just limited to graphic design. Instead, it embraces many design disciplines such as architecture, interior, landscape, and industrial design. For example, in the healthcare sector, environmental typography may create spaces that comfort and heal by integrating calming and clear messaging. For educational clients, environmental typography can inspire and lead students by creating visually engaging spaces that promote learning and curiosity. Well designed typography fosters focus, creativity, and a sense of belongingness. Environmental typography may aid in recruiting and retaining employees by creating inspiring and engaging workspaces that reflects company values, and motivational quotes, branded messages, and clear wayfindings foster a sense of belonging and pride to the place and the company. That's why in many good companies, once you enter in the space in their offices, you will find interesting use of typography in terms of signage and graffiti art. If used creatively, environmental typography integrates text into physical spaces, creating immersive and eye-catching brand experiences. For retail clients, it uses signage, wall art, and displays to reflect brand identity, guide customers, and enhance ambience. Similarly, in residential project, vibrancy and a timeless aesthetic can be created by using typography as a part of architecture and interiors. So let us see some of the case studies to understand this in a better way. Image references and its use to explain the concepts of environmental typography is purely for academic purpose. The first case study is of comedy carpet. The comedy carpet in Blackpool, England is a large scale public art installation designed by artist Gordon Young in collaboration with graphic designers Why Not Associates. Located at the foot of Blackpool Tower, it features over 160,000 granite letters embedded in concrete, celebrating British comedy. If you investigate the whole design process, you will realize that this was a mammoth task where each letter was cut individually, and if there is a shadow or any kind of decoration, it was again cut from the different color granites and assembled together. It was like creating movable granite types on a similar concept of movable metal typefaces, where each letter was crafted separately or designed separately and then later it was assembled. So, after letters were ready, it was carefully arranged to create the content and finally transformed into tiles. These are few more images just to make you understand the scale and workmanship involved in this project. And this is how it finally looks. Its bold, varied typography and playful layout reflect the humor and energy of British entertainment industry, inviting visitors to explore and interact with the work. So over a period of time, the whole space has become a playground for kids and an interactive space for adults where people come together and they interact and they discuss and laugh by reading those jokes. The second case study is the Written Garden in Berlin. This is a pavilion in a public park made entirely from fawns, especially created for the structure. If one investigates the details, there are up to 3 different variations for every letter form. You will find capitals, lowercase letters, and a special form, which creates a more organic, less repetitive appearance and help to connect the characters to one another. The structure features laser cut metal panels with engraved text forming walls and ceilings, creating a tunnel like pathway. It is a poetic and immersive public art installation that transforms the act of reading into spatial experience. You can see people interacting with this space and the letters. It exemplifies the blending of typography, art, and landscape design to create a meaningful and reflective space. That means it is a very immersive and interactive. The interplay of light and shadows casts the words onto the ground and surrounding surfaces, adding a dynamic visual element. It invites visitors to walk through and interact with the text, offering a reflective and immersive experience. The design blends artistic, intellectual, and sensory engagement, making it a unique example of environmental typography. The third case study is taken from a project which is done in collaboration with the community. This is an urban design project that transforms narrow, often overlooked alleyways into vibrant, welcoming spaces through a creative use of typography and color. This participative urban art interventions aims to improve rundown communities using art as a tool for change and inspiration. This is how the whole cramped space is transformed into a lively space. So if you look at the image, the surrounding is very dense and there is hardly any space to move. However, when this kind of treatment got done, the whole space become very lively and it also become very engaging for the community. The design, the way it has been done, it connects people to the space by making these once neglected paths engaging and interactive. By blending light, art, and environmental typography, the project reimagined alleyways as a dynamic public spaces, fostering community interaction and cultural expression. This image shows how the community was involved while working on this project, and this leads to the ownership by the community as well. And then because of that they start feeling that they are working for their environment and surrounding, and it also brought lot of responsibility to the local. In India also you will find such explorations evident everywhere, whether it is in the form of shop signs, truck art, or street graphics. It has got the people's attention. So let us see some examples from our surroundings. This typographic artwork by artist Daku brilliantly explores the concept of time through the interplay of letters and shadows. Words mounted on a wall cast shifting shadows throughout the days. It symbolizes the ever changing aspect of life. The highlighted words reflect not only the transient nature of our lives but also the feeling uh, and our experience with day to day activities. And it also shows that these experiences are continuously evolving and transforming with time. This is a Kolkata airport where you can notice letters spread across the ceiling. So the use is very simple, but at the same time it makes the whole space very interactive and engaging. This is an installation during India's first design Biennale organized in Delhi. It says past is present and present is future. A very simple installation, but at the same time very powerful because it attracts people attention and make them to read and interact with the space. This is another installation done using Painter Kafil font during the Typo Day 2014 conference at Symbiosis Institute of Design, Pune. If you look at the font attributes, it itself makes it very indic, and then the whole experience, visual experience, was very mesmerizing. So with all these examples, it is clear that typography can be very expressive and experiential, and overall effectiveness depends on how creatively the letters are treated. On your screen you will see there is one example where it says strap, and then the treatment to the letter and letter form kind of reflect the same thing. So to achieve this, understanding the fundamental of typography is very crucial. Once you know the fundamentals, you will also know till what extent you can break the rules and create lasting impact on the viewers. Alright then, so we will stop here, and I hope you will be able to understand and use the fundamentals we have covered in this module. In the next module, Professor Saurav will take you through Introduction to Identity Design, where you will be seeing the use of typography in a very creative way. So keep your mind and eyes open and try to recall whatever fundamentals we have discussed in this module and use it in identity design. I will meet you again in the last module of this course on Introduction to Print and Publication Design. Till then, bye and see you soon.